All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday, August 9th. Great to see Billy still with us here, I should say. John, we had Kathleen, Leda, Mark, Michael, and all of our students here inside our live trading room. Just let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Typically, if I have one of us, I have all of us, but great to see Leda at least joining us now, a few more of us rolling on in. So perfect. Great to see you there. Great to see you back, perhaps otherwise on social, back on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc. Now, hey, for right now, the markets are zooming on up higher, trying to make up for lost time from earlier today. And with that, hopefully an even stronger close ahead. So we'll focus on the market more so in just a moment. The TNGX, it's on the screen to begin. It's top percent gainer as well. So, good timing with just to start off on this trade. So Tango Therapeutics ended up showing some good activity this morning in pre-market. When I say activity, I mean, it was trading a lot of volume. Hey, it was up big percentage-wise. That doesn't necessarily mean A, it's going to move up. And doesn't necessarily mean B, that there's going to be easy to see levels on a stock like this. Because there were not easy to see levels. And even with that in mind, well, hey, it still popped and moved up quite nicely. So you might ask, well, where should I have gotten in? What was the big entry to take? Well, if there's no real big level that you're very confident of just leaning into and jumping in, then it's going to be a lot harder for you to dictate that where, right? So once it popped, as soon as the market opened up, of course, we started to focus on it a lot further. I went over this with a student just earlier. My first big level on this stock was really not until 610. And, I'm not going to do a whole traders talk little analysis of this move here right now, but it was off 610, I think it was. That was even back from the after hours yesterday when it first popped. Well, hey, for it to open up at $5, move all the way up to $6.10, and then test that level, you could probably expect a little pullback, a little resistance, little turbulence. Just you could see it looks like it shook through it once and then broke over it much higher from there and got halted. This actually got halted, I think, only twice on the day. I say only because, again, you wouldn't really know this without seeing Bookmap, but this stock was going to get halted about 8 or 9 or 10 separate instances today. And whoever was running this thing up, they knew what they were doing so well to the point where, hey, this has rarely ever happened in the near 9 years I've been with Fausto. And really, Fausto was as shocked as myself on this. For every time it was about to get halted, they dropped the stock price just a smidge. So it prevented the circuit breaker from happening. And then as soon as they pulled it back a little bit, they popped it up a little bit more. They were trying to run it up without it getting halted. And they were trying to manipulate it to the point where they were going to sell at a certain price. And well, it finally got halted later on. It popped up more and more and more, got halted right here. And then when it reopened up, they just dumped off instantly at $9.30 essentially. And then from there it dropped. So it was a great trade for while it lasted. But hey, you know what? Just a moment ago. And we're not out of the doghouse on this just yet. I did draw a little line here, and this was actually after the fact, so I'm not going to sit here and say that we had called this out. It was actually after the fact. I was looking for a big level just heading into this meeting, and it's oh, wow, 696, 692, a little under 7 there. Historically, back from end of last year, that was pretty strong. So granted, it went under and over that purple line on the intraday chart. Just a moment ago, though, you saw the call out. If you're Stacy or Corinne or Rod or Michael or any one of us here, I was saying, TNGX trying to hold support now. It needs to hold around here between 755 to 765. And granted, it's been chopping around there. It hasn't tanked any lower since. So there's still a chance for this to really try and make that larger pop up and continuated move. And as I'm flapping my gums here, this is really trying to make the push above 765 for right now. So it has a lot more groundwork to do in order for this to be actually worth our time now for the afternoon. Typically for a stock that's traded 65 plus million shares on the day. And prior to today, it was trading less than 1 million at least. Typically, it's going to be pretty exhausted, right? But given how much it ran up from earlier, that's why I was at least, giving it the call out heading into this meeting saying, hey, just watch out for this around that 755 to 765. Here's Bookmap right now, level 4. I even turned the heat map part of this off, just so you could see the white VWAP line here that I was referencing right off of 760. And I think even earlier, maybe I should have wrote 760 instead of 65. I wrote 755 to 765 together. Maybe I should have dropped it down 5 cents and made it from 55 to 60. That's all. So, hey, it's still in good grace here so long as it can hold over this white line, the VWAP at 760. If it just snaps right back below this line as I'm talking, then run for the hills. Be careful there. So, for right now, I'll put this on our watch list. Even as I'm still talking, this is shaking around there right now. So definitely be mindful of that drop. I'll put this on our watch list to start, though. All right, so markets are still pushing up. We don't really have too many name brand stocks like on the gainer side, up big percentage wise. So we'll run into a couple stocks just on the side list in a moment. Keep going from here, though. DBTX stock ended up making a nice little move early this morning, but then it flattened out after. I don't know if this was like a buyout or what. I actually do care enough on that to check. So normally where we kind of play ignorant to the news, hey, if this is actually a buyout, then you don't really want to follow this here at this stage, and you probably shouldn't have from the morning. So let's see. Yep. So Regeneron, another company, announced that it will acquire DBTX, $4 per share, payable in cash at closing, and then a whole bunch of other stuff on top. So that actually came out early this morning in pre-market, mind you. So I wish that we knew the news on that actually ahead of time. I wouldn't have been as interested in it. So it's trying to inch up to $5 here a little bit, but I'm going to pass on it. You want to know why I'm going to pass on it, folks? Not just because it's a buyout. I mean, that's the main reason, honestly. But you're going to miss out on moves like TNGX here because now we're moving back on up. We're trying. I don't want to jinx it here, but let's see if this stock like this can keep going. Actually, there's a new iceberg on the bid that just popped up here too, seemingly. About 29,000 shares a moment ago. I just saw it 762. Now about 14,700 shares. Let me bring Bookmap back into this here briefly. So, like I said, just popped up a moment ago, 29.6 right there, 29,600 shares at 762. It looks good. It definitely looks good. Let's see if it could end up, coming to fruition here and really popping higher. So, that's like also like a big reason as to why you don't want to follow a stock like DBTX. If that's flat and this is moving, I think you want to follow the one that's moving. Also, look out for that iceberg order for that to be a ladder, by the way, too. Watch out for that order to... Holy smokes. You can't write this stuff, folks. You really can't script it. Can't make it up. It did it before I even finished saying it. Watch out for the ladder. Watch out for the ladder here. I swear to God, I did not see this before I started saying that. Hey, I was saying just be mindful to see if this order moves up here and squeezes this up even higher from this point. So looks even better. Let's see if this order doesn't get like pulled completely or if it doesn't get broken through. Let's see if it can keep pushing it up. All right, good timing there. You never know what you catch here during these meetings, right? And hey, if you're joining us on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc., if you wanted to continue the commentary with Sydney, Corinne, Rod, Suzanne, Barbara, Stacy, Michael, Donald, just scan that QR code right there if you're on the stream. Access our live trading room from that point. But let's see what else we can grab here. That iceberg order just got pulled. Be careful on that TNGX. They didn't place it higher just yet, so be very mindful about a shakedown on that trade still. All right, as we keep going through, though, I want to look at my scanner here. I don't want to keep poking at Benzinga here for right now. We'll check back in on that trade in just a second. Blink, BLNK, charging company, EV charging company. We traded the stock back during like really the pandemic, before the pandemic perhaps, but no, after the pandemic. So or mid-pandemic. It just ended up making a big pop back then, just with the other EV stocks at the same time. So hey, if this stock can make a fraction of the type of squeeze that it made for us back then, that's a home run. That's a huge victory. And it's only up 12%. I mean, hey, just look at TNGX. Just look at VTGN from earlier this week. So 12% really isn't a whole lot. I like that, especially with this, moving back on up towards the highs here, trying to make a move back up. I'll add Blink to our list here. Let's see what else we can get. One of my favorite stocks, AVXL. It's at the highs, but a little slow moving right now is this trade. So as much as I love this stock, there we go. I knew they should be cracking up there on the side later. As much as I love that stock later, I'm going to pass on it. Little update, TGTX, by the way. That iceberg order I spoke about, it got pulled at 770. But not only that, a new iceberg order just showed up on the ask resistance I mean, 8 was already a big level, but now you have 62,000 shares at 796. Let's be careful there at this point more than ever. Penn National Gaming, for any of my sports fans out there or sports gambling fans out there, Penn ended up actually like branching off from media company Barstool Sports. And the reason why that's important is, well, they owned and operated some casinos that they were opening up across this past year. Penn ended up dumping them for ESPN. They ended up dumping them for ESPN in a big deal where they're going to be opening up ESPN Bets sports books, physical like casino sports books around the U.S. domestically. So had led to a nice overnight pop yesterday, but afterwards, as you could see, a massive dump back down today. Tried to fill the gap, ended up essentially bouncing back up, and here we are. I like the trend. I really like this trend up on Penn right now heading into the afternoon. So it shows that there's good direction. It's tradable. It's not like on an ungodly spread. I like it for right now. Definitely going to add Penn to our watch list here. All right, what else can we grab here right now? You got Real, REAL. Not really doing a whole lot there. All right, so let's hop over to the loser side. Markets are on up, so if there's anything else looking good going with the market, anything that's popping right now that I missed, just type it in the chat boards, just collectively. If you're on social, if you're inside our live trading room, work together as a team here. Let me know if there's anything looking good. But first, hop over to the loser side here, seeing if there's any good shorts. NVEI, I didn't notice this until now. I guess it's shortable, but nothing really too special as of now. It's starting to bounce a little bit, a little skimpy on the volume out there. Ooh, this thing's taking a hit today. Is this Angie's list? ANGI? Angie Inc. Ended up dropping. I mean, taking a huge hit over the last few years, mind you. But I don't know what happened today. Down over 34%. Stock actually is shortable from TradeStation's point here. So, hey, it's not only the fact that it's shortable that's interesting to me. It's at the lows. And it's actually on really perfect liquidity. The order size is not extremely big to where I'd say it's like too much for it to cut through. It's not thin. It's on a penny spread. It checks out really damn nicely. How much lower is this going to drop? That I don't have the answer to. I mean, technically, I guess we all know how much lower it really could go. But yeah, I mean, to see this drop down, it looks like 241, 242-ish seems to be a pretty strong level just from the long term, from the weekly chart from back last year. So seems like that could be where it could be heading here around 242, 241. Not bad, like 12, 13 cents short on a $2 trade. I mean, think about it. If you're taking a 12, 13 cent win on a long on a $2 stock, that's a fair trade. It's not like an enormous home run move. That's like a pretty solid trade on 1,000 shares. 120, 130 bucks. All right, PUBM ended up leading to a nice drop at first, and then again, it's like pulling back down a little bit more here, which I do appreciate. So you know what? I'll come back to it if I need to. If this ends up dropping off more, then I'll reconsider. Let's see if there's anything looking even better with liquidity. DOCS here. I got a bunch of stuff shortable. I mean, bunch of stuff down huge today, albeit the markets are recovering. But actually, a lot of stuff I got to like sift through here. Fine tooth comb, just stocks that are shortable that, are trading some shares here and some shares there. Got to do my due diligence here, right? I mean, obviously, Roblox. Got to throw that right on our watch list here. We were looking at that earlier, so we were calling it out all throughout the afternoon. But, first look at it here during this meeting, mind you. I didn't bring it up earlier. So just looking at it right now at the lows, we're familiar with this stock. Definitely a no-brainer that we're going to follow Roblox still at this point. Rod saying we short, as in WeWorks. You can't get the shares to short it, though. It's hard to borrow. It's like a 12-cent stock. So in terms of how much lower could the stock go, literally has 12 cents to go. That's it. Very close to the ground floor there. We're not really trying to short a stock that low. In terms of direction, you know what I mean? Like direction-wise, definitely stock the low of the day. That's something I'd look for. If it was 10 times the price, I'd probably still avoid it. even at $1.20 a share. If it was 100 times the price, then I'd be much more interested. What was the one from yesterday or the day before? Sage. It was like a $17 or $15 short, something like that. Oh man, I mean, it dropped off. It was down big percentage wise, so it ended up squeezing the next morning back up. But that actually be a lot more enticing because there's more physical room for that to drop off more, right? All right, so hey, in total, in summation, as I like to say, we got 2, 4, 5 stocks to work with right now. Not too bad. Really not bad at all. I don't want to force anything out there, but I did ask if there is anything, let me know. Suzanne with the LPSN. I think that one kind of cooled off a bit now at this point. Nice trend where it bounced back up off from the lows. And if it was still holding good strength on that trend, like kind of a la Penn here, then I'd be a little more interested in it. Tradable. There's good spread, good order book, and all that, but I don't think we're going to see much more out of it. Leda asking ON going anywhere? Looks like it's going somewhere, especially looking at the weekly graph, long-term graph there. It's been on a beautiful trend as far as a swing. For a $36 stock, though, to make 15, 20 cents a share, we could do that on a much less expensive trade. That's all. Array had a nice morning, Michael, but at this point, it's toast. Not really as great of a trade right now, I feel. If you're already short from 23, then you're looking really good, as I know you like to take trades just near the highs on the short, but it's toast at this point. It's exhausted. Weight Watchers, more life on this trade. A little more juice on this trade right now, right? More of an afternoon pop. And not only that, it's moving back up to the highs from yesterday. You could see on my 5-minute graph. It's up 10%. I really like this trade. That's a good call out from Scott here. Just be careful on the liquidity. It's on a good spread now, but if it becomes more volatile, which is kind of what we want, we would expect this to thin out more then. So the volatility of a stock always could impact the volatility of a stock always impacts the liquidity of the order book. So if we're looking for this to push higher, then we're likely expecting this to become more volatile, meaning we're expecting the order book to thin out should that happen. So definitely a good shout from Scott here. I like this one. Let's jump to Benzinga, then we'll finish up. Hey, this is why we work together as a team. It's not a matter of good call out, bad call out. It's a matter of, can we make money on this trade over the next 75 minutes of our day? Can we make more money on this trade compared to others? So, from this point, if we can nail a runner on Weight Watchers, that would be lovely. If we can nail it on Blink or, even Penn to recover off that bounce, that's been on a hell of a trend. See if that can keep going. All of these stocks on our watch list so far, I think, give us the best shot to make some good money. RENB, I reckon, is trying to push up a small amount, but similar to this, as I said before on like TNGX, if that fails to run higher, then it's not to guarantee it's going to tank. It's just exhausted. 31.5 million shares on a stock like this, where normally it's trading 24,000 shares, 340,000 shares, 96,000. You know what I mean? So I think that it's pretty exhausted right now at this stage. I just pass on this for right now. From Richard saying IDAI. That was one from earlier, right? From the morning. I turned over to it when we were like kind of rummaging through before the meeting starting. Pardon me. I was wrong with the morning part there, Richard. So more from the early afternoon. Losing track of my time here. It's been a long day, but with that though, it's like kind of just flattened out here. So, if it was closer to the highs, if it was still kind of moving on up to the highs there, I'd be way interested in it, just like the Weight Watchers. But I think it's ran its course, at least for today. Maybe check back in tomorrow on it. All right, so folks, we're going to wrap up right now. I like what we got. So really good list to work with heading into the final stage of this afternoon. If you're interested in joining our live trading room once again on social media, you could have just clicked that QR code, scan that QR code with your phone as I pop it up one last time, just to join our live trading room, join Richard and Kathleen and Michael and Grant, Leda, and all of us just there right now. But otherwise, hey, if you have any questions before joining us here, I always like to post my email at the end of these streams. Josh@c2trading.com is the handle. All right. I wrote back to a bunch of us over the last day, and I think there's one or two more I didn't get the chance to write back to yet, like longer trade related questions. So I'm going to make sure I get to you just as soon as we finish up the day today, folks. But, keep the questions rolling on in. And for Leda, Michael, Scott, and all of us here right now, Best of luck trading. I'll be in the chat board up until 3:30. Talk to you all soon. Take care.